Yes. Why is it there? There we go. Okay, I think we're set. It's almost time. If you're watching on replay, put in the comments hashtag replay. If you're watching on Facebook, let us know how it sounds. If you can hear me okay, if there's not too much background noise. Clearly, I have somebody with me today, so I can't use my earbuds, but I think it'll be okay. Hi, Holly. Hi, Vicky. We'll give everybody a couple minutes to join. Melissa, sound isn't too bad. Good. If for some reason you're watching on Facebook and it sounds kind of funky, we are live streaming on YouTube also, and it should be a little bit better sound that way too. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Terry. You guys know the drill. Tell us what you're working on. Oh, John says hi. He misses hearing me. Aw. Well, you guys are just going to have to be in the same room. Hi, Noelle. Mary, working on your arboreal sweater. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Sarah. Yeah, this is about the time of the year for you that you're not going to get much knitting done, I'm sure. Mom, summer drops. Hi, Linda. Hi, Mom. Marcina. Hi, Aunt Jackie. Nicole's finishing her pink cable hat. That's with the Dream in Color November yarn in the worsted. It's going to look really cool. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. Get kind of the housekeeping stuff done and out of the way, and then we can hear all the cool stuff Joyce has to say. So welcome to Monday Motivation. Today is January 22nd. My name is Kristen. This is Joyce, our sock knitter extraordinaire. She is also the instructor for our double knit class, our 2 at a time toe up sock class, our knit companion class, our continental knitting class. And I know there have been some other things too. What else have you taught?
I taught knitting backwards and forwards,
Yes.
with and purling. I taught linen stitch and how to work with linen yarn.
Oh yeah, yep.
I think that might be it.
Okay. Yeah, those were 2 different things, the linen
Yes.
yarn and the linen stitch. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So Joyce teaches a lot of classes for us. And if you've taken a class from her, you know she's an amazing instructor, very patient, and she comes with notes and homework, and it's awesome.
And a song.
And a song, yes. Unique. What's the word I want? Original songs. So she and I are going to chat a little bit about, or she is going to chat a little bit about Sock Madness, which is coming up. And maybe we'll touch a little bit on Knit Companion also and what Knit Companion does, the app. But before we get started on that, I wanted to mention a couple things. Some of the classes that Joyce is teaching still have some openings. So we've got a couple spots left for the continental knitting class. And do you want to kind of explain that a little bit?
I teach continental knitting to people who already know how to knit. There are lots of different reasons you might want to learn to continental knit. I personally taught myself because I was having a lot of hand pain. And I found that continental knitting is less stressful on my hands. In doing so, I found that there are also a lot of other uses for it. I love it when I'm doing stranded knitting or double knitting or anything where you are working with 2 yarns at a time. So it's great for that, to have both styles of knitting in your toolbox.
Yeah. Okay. So, and Norwegian purling, right?
Yes, I try not to say that.
Okay.
though. The first.
Okay,
thing
never
I
mind.
thought- don't look it up, please. Don't look it up.
Continental knitting. She teaches continental knitting. M- she teaches knitting with your yarn being tensioned in your left hand multiple ways. How about that?
Yes,
So we have a couple classes, a couple spots left in that. That one is 3 Thursdays, right? Is it 3 weeks?
I think
I think
so.
it's 3 weeks.
That's 3. Yes, 3.
February 8th through the 22nd, Thursday afternoons, 1:30 to 3:30.
2:30 to 4:30.
2:30 to 4:30. Melissa put a link to the website, to the class page on the website too, if you want to sign up that way. Or you can always message the shop or call us and we can get you signed up. Knit Companion. Let's maybe talk about that briefly.
Okay. I'm pretty much a techie person, so anytime there's something new, I will dive right in and use the maximum. But Knit Companion also has a free version, which I have come to admit is valuable. If you're currently using line markers or writing on pieces of paper, you will find the free version valuable because it keeps your place in the pattern. And when you shut up your tablet, it stays in the same place. So that's really valuable. You can have multiple projects at the same time within the app. And again, it keeps them all in place if you flip from project to project. So that would be basically what we'll cover in the level 1 class. Level 2 gets into how to combine charts, how to key your different stitches with colors, so that at a glance you can tell if it's say a 1/1 left cable or 1/1 right cable. So it also will count your stitches for you. So if you have a string of one particular stitch, you don't have to constantly go back to the pattern and check to see, am I doing 15 stitches or 17 stitches this row?
Yep. So we keep the level 2 class a little bit smaller because it is more in depth. So the class that we currently have is full, but if you're interested and you weren't able to sign up, let us know and we can probably try and add on another. I'm just gonna monopolize all of Joyce's Thursdays. So let us know and maybe we can add on a second one of those. But the Knit Companion 1 class, we've got 2 spots left. That is one day, is February 29th. Again, a Thursday, 2:30 to 4:30. Then the last class that we've got a little bit of space for is a double knit class that's April 8th through 18th. So maybe we could talk a little bit about that one too.
Okay, double knitting creates a double-sided fabric. It looks like stockinette stitch on both sides. Basically, yeah, that's when you don't get into real advanced stuff. But we start with a simple pot holder pattern, and it's a 3-week class, so there's plenty of time to finish the pot holder within the 3 weeks. We don't get into something as complicated as this, but eventually this is what double knitting allows you to do. You can see it's nice and smooth on one side. This is what the other side looks like. So the colors are inverted, but they're viewable both sides. Another advantage is this happens to be a scarf. No rolling edges in double knitting.
Yep.
That's double knitting.
So that, like she said, you're not going to be learning something like this. This would be more advanced, especially when, as you get more into it, there are sections where if you were just to straight do the opposite stitch on the wrong side, it would look forward on the front and backwards on the back. But some of them, like a lot of you have seen Joyce doing like the music notes and stuff like that, where it's not necessarily exactly mirrored one side to the other, but that's further down the line. So again, that one's April 8th through 18th. And the other thing I wanted to mention is Malabrigo is doing a shawl knit along starting March 1st. It is for a Vicky, okay, we can get you signed up for that one. Let me scroll back through and make sure I didn't miss any questions on other stuff. If you guys have any questions, I'm trying to keep kind of an eye on the comments, so feel free to pop questions in there. Okay, that's just all chat. Okay. So the Malabrigo knit along that starts March 1st is called the Friendship Shawl. This is what it looks like. It uses 3 skeins of their Malabrigo Dos Tierras, which is a DK weight merino alpaca blend. So 1 skein each in 3 colors. I've got some of the Dos Tierras here in stock. We've got more on its way to us. So, but they just opened up today their signups for customers to register for their knit along. So if that's something you're interested in, let us know and we can help you pick yarns for that one too. Malcolm, how often are the classes offered? It depends on what there's demand for. And I'm trying to get better about scheduling further in advance so people have better better able to plan for the classes, but it really depends on a combination of demand and also what Joyce is not tired of teaching, I think.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I don't want to teach something that people are not interested in, so.
Yeah.
When we start getting people asking about things.
Then we make a class. Okay, so what else? 2 other things. I keep saying one more thing, but then there's another one more thing. Ruth, if you scroll back through the comments, you should be able to see what's posted. But we talked about a double knit class, continental class, and 2 different knit companion classes all coming up. A reminder that we are collecting yarn donations through the end of January, so that's coming up pretty quickly. I may keep a box here on hand after the fact. I talked to Tia that works at the prison, and she said she would happily continue to take donations, but the official collection window ends the end of January. I did find out when she was here the other day, she would love fabric donations as well. So I told her we have a lot of you who are multi-craftual. And so if you have any fabric scraps, it doesn't matter how big they are. It doesn't matter what fabric it is. They make stockings for the Salvation Army. They make lap blankets for the VA and for one of the rescue missions, I believe. She keeps those guys busy at the prison. So any fabric you have can come in and it can go right in with the yarn contributions as well. Okay, I think that's it. So the real reason, well, one of the reasons that I wanted Joyce to join us is this thing called Sock Madness. So if you don't know what it is, you're about to find out, and you're about to find out how cool it is, but also how challenging it is. So I will be quiet and let Joyce talk about it.
You can find more things about Sock Madness in the Sock Madness Forever Ravelry group, which I think Melissa's going to post a link for that for you. Basically, Sock Madness is an online international sock knitting competition. All of the patterns that are used are brand new, never published before. And literally there are thousands of people that participate. I looked back and I should have taken a screenshot because I lost the chart. I don't know where it went, but I noticed the other day that someone had charted the last several Sock Madness competitions for how many people were participating. One of them was close to 2,000 people who qualified to be on a team. So what happens is qualification is the first, well, I'm sorry, I have to back up. total first step is you have to become a member of the Sock Madness Forever group. Then you have to wait until the registration time begins, which this year is February 1st through the 14th. You have to send in a registration. They will have a Google Docs or something like that that you can fill out. They'll ask you several questions relating to your knitting ability and so forth. And then once that 2-week time frame has gone, then shortly thereafter, they will issue a qualifying pattern. And again, it's never been published before. No one will have seen it until it's sent out. You'll have 2 weeks to knit the pair of socks. You'll have to create a Ravelry page and take specific photos as you go along. And then they determine if you have knit it correctly within the time frame. At that point, they assign you to a team, one of 26 teams. And from there on in, there are 7 rounds. Each round starts with X number of people on the team, and they reduce. So for instance, that year where there were close to 2,000 who qualified and were assigned to a team, they started with something like over 50 per team. And then they cut it down to 45 and then to 40, so that by the end round, the second to the end round, there were 5 participants per team. And then that was reduced to 1. And round 7 has 1 player per team. What I love about it is not so much the competition. I learned so many new techniques. They have already put out what they call the materials list. So they have a list of what yarns are going to be needed for each sock. They don't tell you what is what sock, but they tell you, for example, whoops, I better get my glasses. Hang on a minute.
So you pull that up while you're doing that.
Okay.
So it's, if you haven't gathered, it's like a bracket system that's supposed to like mirror March Madness basketball. So it's you know, each round narrows down more and more the people that are in there. Well, what was I going to say about that? So that's one part. The other part is there's no cost, right?
There is no cost.
Right.
There is a place on the group where you can contribute if you want to. People donate prizes, and the prizes are awarded based on really unusual things, not who wins a round or who does best overall. It might be a nice comment you made to some other knitter, or they just like the colors of the particular sock that you knit, whatever. Okay, so they have materials lists already out for this year's competition for the 8 socks that are involved in the competition, plus several warm-up and boost bonus socks. I wanted to give you an idea of what that might sound like. So this is the specifications that I had for last year's qualifying sock. 100 grams of main color, 20 grams of contrasting color, 34 2-gram scraps that should contrast well with the main color. You will need a minimum of 4 colors, but can use up to 34 colors. Solid or tonal yarns are recommended for main color and contrasting color. Scraps need to contrast with each other, but most types of yarns should be fine. There are no extras involved. Now I'll show you what those socks turned out like.
This was the qualifier, you guys.
It was intarsia in the round with a little girl holding a set of balloons. That's going to show real well, but
Malcolm, it is a pair each round, not a
yes,
single. Sock.
it is a pair. So again, we had 2 weeks to knit this pair of socks in and do it correctly. We needed to show the side view, a front view, an inside out view so that they knew that we were actually doing intarsia and not trying to fake stranded knitting
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
yeah. So
And duplicate, that'd be a lot to duplicate.
or duplicate stitch, right?
Yeah.
So that was like I said, I learned a lot of techniques through this. And the first year that I did this, it was 2019. I look back. This was my first qualifying sock that I ever did. It was a nice little smocked thing, very pretty. And then within that year, there were a couple of ones that I got, oh, I was ready to quit after day one of, or maybe like 15 minutes in round 5 or so. But I have tried every year to complete all 8 pairs of socks. Last year I was kind of in a funk and I didn't. After I got eliminated at round 4, I just quit. But mostly, if you look at my Ravelry page, if it says qualifying or has the word round in it, it was part of Sock Madness. And are there any questions? I guess that's the next step.
Yeah. So if you guys have questions, you can type them in the comments. While we wait, what's the furthest that you've made it?
The furthest I made it was into round 6. And that year there were 5 in round 6. And I finished number 3. So I didn't make it to round 7.
Okay. Because it went from 5 to.
It went from 5 to 1.
To 1. Okay. Yeah. You guys, you made it pretty far. I think one of the things that I've heard you mention in the past is on that Google Docs form to not over exaggerate your abilities.
Yeah. They'll ask different questions every year. And I didn't know how to answer the questions the first year. Said, how long does it take you normally to knit a pair of socks? Well, I had knit socks before, but so I said, oh, if it's not too boring of a pattern, probably 2 weeks. Well, somebody asked me just the other day, how long does it take you now? About 3 days.
But don't put out there.
Don't. They
group you based.
They group you based on how well they think you will do in the competition. If they think that you're a skilled knitter or a fast knitter, they will put you in a fast group. And usually you can tell if you're in a fast group or not because the slower groups are near the beginning of the alphabet and the faster groups are near the end of the alphabet. And one year they mixed things up and did it differently, but
you're usually toward the
yeah, I've been in teams T and 3 times in team V. Yeah.
We're lucky to have her local, you guys. So Lisa asked, what types of things would disqualify you?
If you knit incorrectly, there might be certain stitches that you'll have to use. I don't say you consistently are doing your cable crosses wrong. That would disqualify you. And you need to be careful also with your photos because if they cannot tell by looking at the photos that you've done it correctly, they will send you an email that you need to resubmit. And sometimes that time lag would be enough to bump you out of the competition.
Noelle says, do you get all the patterns or just for the rounds you qualify for?
You get all the patterns. If you are eliminated, you still get the patterns.
As long as you qualify, right?
As long as you, well, actually, even the people who do not qualify get the patterns.
Okay.
They're classified as cheerleaders. and put on a whole group by themselves. And they're really free to do with the patterns what they want. If they want to make the colors different, well, the colors are never specified. But if they want to change it up and make their cables look different, or if they wanted to knit those intarsia socks with duplicate stitch, they would be allowed to. But yes, you get all of the patterns. The bonus patterns, if you've been eliminated, any bonus patterns will come to you after the competition ends. But all the rest are the same time any competitors get them.
Vicky said, well, she asked a question, but Melissa answered it about when registration opens.
Yes.
She's done it before. She said, I've been in Team S 3 times. It's so fun. I'm trying to think. There was something that Suzanne did with one of her socks that she ended up having to rip out the whole thing. And I don't remember.
I remember that happening too, but I don't remember what it was either. I didn't bring those brioche socks because I wear them all the time, but I ripped my brioche socks out 3 times. And that was the year that there were the most competitors. It was the year of the pandemic close down. So I have a feeling that's why there were so many people participating. But that sock was so hard for everyone that they actually extended the deadline. And I was ready to give up. I was taking care of my husband at the time, and I was just ready to bag the whole thing in. And then they extended the deadline, and the lovely people on my team encouraged me to keep going. So I snagged the last spot for that round.
So there is a lot of within the Sock Madness Ravelry group, then there is like a thread for each team.
Yes, there's a thread for each team. And you become kind of your own little support group.
Okay. Are there a lot of designers that compete?
I noticed there are a few designers that compete. There's within the page, you can actually read some notes for designers if they wish to submit a sock pattern. And it does say that if you're a designer and your sock pattern has been accepted, you can still participate, but it would be, your time is a little more tight because when you're a designer with a sock pattern, you are also expected to answer questions about difficulties that people might be having with
clarifications or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vicky, from all over the world, people from all over the world.
It's usually the Norwegians and the Germans that win.
And they don't all, they get released on a specific day, but not always at. Sock Madness Forever has 13,349 members in the group. But not all the patterns, it's not like 1 o'clock every other Friday or anything like that.
Oh, no, not by any means. Once a round ends, then everybody just sits and keeps refreshing and seeing when is the next pattern going to be available. And the first clue you will get will be, this will be sock H, and it will be released within the next 48 hours. And that's the only clue you get. It could be within 3 minutes or 47 hours and 59 seconds. It's that. Yeah. And it is, the time is spread all over the clock. Sometimes midnight, sometimes noon, sometimes.
Right.
Anyway.
Which is, I mean, intentional, right? So
Yeah,
it's not like
yes.
always in one person's time zone where like,
Yeah.
oh, well, we're in the Eastern time zone. It just so happens to release at 9 a.m.
Right.
So all over the world, different.
All
times.
over the world.
Yeah. Let's see, what else should we talk about with it?
You want to show some socks?
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys want to see some of the socks choices done, right? I'm gonna brag on my pair for a minute because this was it a qualifier or was it a practice?
It's a warm up.
This was a warm up pair of socks that Joyce gifted to me. Look at how beautiful these are, you guys. And of course, they're smushy with cashmere because you know, mine, and then some other cashmere too. But aren't they beautiful? Look at the heel. You can tell that I wear these and love these, but look at how cool. That's the bottom of the foot. Really, really cool. So she's got a lot that she can show you that are super fun.
These are my favorite socks. I have never worn them because they're white. I don't want to get them all dirty, but these were just fun. This was ridiculous.
Yes.
This was a challenging one. This is called stacked stitches. So they're like series of 9 stitch repeats, and each repeat as you go along will increase to, I forget how many stitches. It was like 20, I'm going to say 20, 20 stitches or more within one row.
Okay.
And then you work it and then you reduce it back down, and you did that 5 times.
That was one of
Per
last
sock.
year's.
This was, pardon me?
Last year's.
2 years ago. And yeah, there was a little heart that you had to put in and then embroider afterwards.
And Joyce does her socks almost always toe up 2 at a time. And are they all toe up patterns?
No, the majority are not toe up.
Okay.
Um,
She does all hers 2 at a time magically,
whenever I can, yeah.
if at all possible. Yes.
If at all where's the one that made me cry? They're in here. Oh, okay. I told you about the first year when it made me cry, and after 15 minutes I wanted to quit. This sock is all hexagons that build on each other. So it's totally different construction.
Yeah.
Just not, obviously I couldn't do this one 2 at a time. This was an interesting one because they had to be mirrored. A lot of slip stitches in this one, I think.
Josie said you are amazing. Yes, she is. Quite a prolific knitter.
This was a fun one. I'll show this side.
There you go.
This side just looks like, stranded knitting.
Look at how cute it looks on the camera though. Like it looks like little
Yeah,
Christmas
it's a
present.
little plaid thing. But we also had to double knit a pocket in each sock. So, and you had to show in your illustration that it was a pocket by putting something in it when you took the photo. That was a fun one.
Because who doesn't need pockets in their socks?
Yeah, absolutely. This one looks like it's pretty simple. This is almost work like intarsia, because each of the dark green and the teal colored was a strand of yarn on a bobbin. Yeah. Oh, I better show this one. These socks were steeked. You started at the top, made the cuff with the beads in it, and then you did a little Latvian braid, and then started working some stranded work, and then you steeked it, and then picked up and knit lace behind it to finish out the sock.
For those of you that don't know, that means cutting your knitting this way.
Yeah. Slice down the middle of the knitting.
Also, look, it's got beads across the top. There's the stranded color work on the back. There it is on the front. You can see this. Then there's this little tie that goes with it. And lace. What was your favorite pair?
Well,
Those ones. To knit? Or
to
just to look
knit,
at?
well, I don't know. I don't know. I have a lot of favorites. I love this one. Lots of beads on this one. Really pretty.
Isn't that gorgeous?
So, but lots of techniques. Kind of a advanced class in knitting.
Yeah. So if they're written cuff down, you do them cuff down.
Oh yeah,
You have to.
you have to.
Okay.
And if it specifies a particular heel, you have to do that. Same thing with a toe.
Okay. And it has to be, most of them have to be a certain length, right?
Yes. For the For the majority of the years, they had to be end up being a 9-inch sock.
Okay.
Last year, it was more, they specified a particular number of repeats, usually.
Okay.
So that's helpful. But they do tell you right up front, you may make socks that don't fit you. You're not allowed to change them to fit you just because you don't want those.
Right.
So you can you are allowed to say, if you're doing cuff down, you're allowed to put a lifeline in, then later change it
Okay.
to make it fit. But mostly if they don't fit, somebody gets a gift.
Melissa said, do they provide tutorials for those who may be learning new techniques?
Yes, lots of times there are links to YouTube tutorials and things like that.
And then, like you said, the designers are
And the
available.
designers are there. They will have 2 specific threads per pattern. One is just a chat about it, show your stuff. The other one is strictly questions. You're only allowed to ask questions and then the designer answers them.
Okay. Which is helpful for everybody.
Yeah.
So if you are interested in doing something like this, it doesn't, do you have the Winnie the Pooh socks?
Oh, do I have them? No. But I'll bring them up on my iPad and I'll show you.
Are the patterns available after?
Yes. The patterns are available. Some of them are for sale. A few of them are free.
And do they end up, if you participate in Sock Madness, do the individual patterns show up in your library as
Yes.
separate patterns? It's not
Yes.
like one big.
Oops.
Oh, what did I do? They're over here.
Sweet.
Maybe. Hopefully this works.
These are the Winnie the Pooh socks. The peach color on mine is supposed to look like honeycombs. The orangish color is supposed to resemble the little jacket that Winnie the Pooh wore. And then if you can zoom in real close,
Yeah.
the beads are supposed to look like bees.
Little honeybees. Yes, she is very talented. So there's no cost to sign up.
Right.
The sign up window is February 1st through 14th. And then qualifying
Qualifying will
somewhere
be
after that.
sometime after that. They used to start around March 4th, but last year was a little earlier.
Okay. And when do the warm-up patterns get released?
One of those should be coming out pretty soon
Okay.
because it was Saturday that they released the material list. And so lots of times the warm-up patterns come out.
Even before the registration
Even-
starts? Or no?
Yes,
Okay.
I think so. I don't remember.
It only happens once a year, you guys.
Yeah. I can look back and see when I knit a warm-up pattern, and that might give me a clue.
It's a great way to just kind of challenge yourself. I liken it to like the 4-day sweater knit along in the summer. Like the whole point is not to stress yourself out so much that you're gonna like just go off the rails, but it's to push yourself just a little bit further than what you thought you could do.
The first year that I mostly don't do warm-up patterns, but that year I did. And I did start that warm-up pattern on February 1st.
Okay.
So apparently right with the sign-up time.
Okay. And then it goes through the end of March.
It usually goes into May, sometimes even into June.
Okay. What a great way to spend your spring and summer.
Yeah.
Little, socks are small. You can-
Some tips just from me. Solid colors, if you're looking to accumulate some yarn to get ahead of the game, solid colors seem to work best. The patterns are generally complicated enough that really variegated things will get hidden, and then they won't photograph well and you might get eliminated. Another thing, the first year I participated, someone recommended getting a whole bunch of the kind of light bulb or clippy markers, because lots of times the particular requirements will say you need to mark every 10 rows or every 5 rows. And that's a really easy way to do it.
Okay. Was it you or was it Suzanne that would do like a piece of
Yes,
thread?
sometimes they specify that it has to be a piece of thread
Okay.
going up,
Mm.
but sometimes they just say mark it.
Okay. Vicky says, can we start buying yarn now?
Yes,
Yeah.
because the requirements are there, you can look at those. And one year I did actually go through and made myself 8 little baggies with what I thought would work. Usually I just wait. But you know, remember, Kristen's not here on Sunday and Monday and Tuesday.
She can be on call every once in a while if necessary. There are such things as yarn emergencies. I get it. Heritage tends to work really well.
Yes,
Cascade
it really
Heritage.
does. And I like to use Heritage with a variegated for a lot of the color work ones.
Okay.
Seems to work out really well.
Okay.
Like that.
Noelle says, what motivated you to start and to continue to do it every
Suzanne. Suzanne was doing her like sock club.
Yeah.
And she just said, did you ever do Sock Madness? And I said, I don't even know what that is. So she told me what it was. And so I decided I'd sign up, and then I said, what did I get myself into? But like I said, I learned so much. I don't do the Stephen West shawls, but you know, if you have done those and you appreciate how you learn all the different stitches, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Suzanne, for those of you who don't know who she is, she teaches our traditional double points cuff down sock class. She's taught lace classes. She hasn't done as much teaching post pandemic. But when we were still at the old location, we used to have a sock club that met once a month in an evening, and it was just kind of a fun group to hang out with, talk about, and it gives all kinds of ideas to others about what's available and out there. Malcolm says, what kind of practice do you do for it outside of competition time?
Well, I love knitting socks anyway, so I'm always knitting socks. Yeah, see a new pattern and I'll do it.
Plus knitting, she does a lot of test knitting for socks and for sweaters.
Yes, I've done this. This is a test knit, actually.
Yeah, we didn't talk about what we're wearing. So this is
it's called Boyfriend Sweater by Sartorial Knitting.
And uses Cascade Reverb.
Yes.
Yes. Yep, which we have. It's a DK weight.
The DK one.
Alpaca blend. Joanne, she knits all this. It's your daughter. She knits all the time. Yes, she does. And I am wearing, yes, Anchor's summer shirt. This one is in Malabrigo Verano, which is their worsted, DK worsted cotton, 100% cotton yarn. Val loves the boyfriend sweater. Yeah, it's a super cool one too. Mosaic or stranded?
Mosaic.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, no, wait a minute. No, this part was stranded.
Okay.
Stranded garter stitch.
Huh.
This was mosaic, this
The
section.
little-
And then this little line was added afterwards.
Okay. And then I don't know if you can really see the texture that's on the sleeves.
It's like a herringbone. I don't know if
Yeah.
It's all over the sweater, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
there
can
you
kinda
go.
see it. Yeah, it's not just a straight stockinette fabric, because why would it be? Let's see, is there anything else that we haven't touched on?
Um, I'd love more people to do Sock Madness and like get together every week and, meet here and do it.
Yeah, if that's something you guys are interested in, let us know. We can probably make something like that happen. That would be fun. And then maybe even getting back into doing sock club. Maybe not once a week, once a month.
Right.
But during Sock Madness, yeah,
Yeah.
like a little support group.
Right.
Encouragement, but also what is it? Like mutual feeling sorry
Yeah.
for each other and yourselves. I can't think of the word.
Although, if you're knitting your socks till midnight and you want to get it done to get that submitted, you don't have to wait and come in when everybody else is knitting.
No, but you could come in and be like, hey, guess what? I got mine done.
Right.
Commiseration. That's what I was trying to think of. Lisa, I'd like to be part of the sock club. Awesome. Yeah, we'll put something together. All right. I think we talked about a lot, you guys, and I'm so thankful that Joyce came in and got to chat about not just Sock Madness, but all kinds of other stuff. You all get if you haven't experienced chatting with Joyce, this gives you a better idea of what it would be like to take a class. How competitive does it get? Trash talking?
No, well, mostly no. The moderators are very, very much on top of the forums and they don't allow trash talking. There have been some people who have been asked to leave the competition.
Because it's supposed to be all in good fun
It's supposed to be a welcoming environment.
and encouraging.
Yeah.
All right, if you guys watch this after the fact and you have questions, put them in the comments. We'll go back through and see if there's anything you need answered. Vicky, in my experience, it's been very encouraging. Yeah.
I want to share this.
Yeah.
Some of you know that my husband died a few months ago from pancreatic cancer. I was participating in Sock Madness during the whole time he had cancer. And just by the random placement, there was one of my teammates was a palliative care physician living in France, and she reached out to me. It was just wonderful.
Yeah. You never know who you're going to meet.
Yeah.
And it's a good way. It's good therapy too. All right, everybody, I hope you have a good night and thanks for joining us. Is there a gauge requirement?
Each pattern will specify the gauge, but no, if you knit to gauge, you're going to get the required size of sock.
Okay.
Other than that, most of the socks the requirements are for a medium size sock, like 7-8 women's. Generally the pattern has a small size and a large size included. The small size you wouldn't be able to knit for the competition, but if you're a cheerleader or if you've been eliminated and you normally knit a small size, you could. If you choose to knit a large size, that's fine. You're doing more than required and that's acceptable.
Do you, I know you normally knit loosely. Do you use the needles they call for, or do you tend to adjust based on how you know?
I adjust the needles.
But each pattern could call for a different needle size. They're not all going to call for the same.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So you just have to pay attention to the patterns and know when you're knitting. All right, everybody. I hope you have a great week. If we don't see you in here, I will see you next Monday. So have a good night, and hopefully this inspired some people to join and have fun. All right, everybody. Have a good night.